Greetings and blessings of Lammas. I'm standing here in my front garden. Actually, it seems to be like a jungle of a lot of things, particularly tomato plants. And I'm out here to check to see if my tomato harvest is about ready to begin. It was slow going this year. I have something like over 60 varieties, 60 plants, a lot of different varieties of tomatoes in the garden front and back this year. Some are what we call indeterminates, which we are growing up trellising, and I am coming to check on those particularly because I think I've been amiss in doing a few things that I need to guarantee a really good harvest this year. So let's take a look. The tomatoes here on these front trellises, we have them, they're supposed to be tied and secured to the trellis as we go. They're doing pretty good. I suckered them at the bottom so we don't have a lot of growth at the bottom, a lot of side shoots, but I see we have quite a few green ones on the vine. I don't see anything ready to go yet. I got beans in front here that we've been picking. And here, we have here on the side a beautiful sunflower that's trying its best. Growing. What I wanted to show you this year is something we're trying a little differently this year. If I come over to these beds, you can see that I have strings going up here, and I'm supposed to be securing these tomatoes there. We want them to climb, and see what you see here, we're wrapping them around the string as they go. But I'm supposed to be suckering these tomatoes to make sure I get growth that goes up rather than growth that goes out. So let's take a look and see how I'm doing. I wanted to show you what I'm supposed to be doing is removing suckers from these plants because I want them to go up the string and not out bushing this way. And what has happened here is I've been very negligent in coming out and doing it and removing suckers. Here we see, this is what I mean by a sucker. If we can see in here, this is not even the main stem. This is the main stem back here, the one that is going on the string. This is the main stem here. And we need to make sure we get that in there. But here we see growing out here in this elbow that I just covered up. Here's the main stem and here's a branch. Coming out of here is a new growth trying to come out, and I want to pull those off because if I don't, I get a tremendous amount of bushy growth. Like I can show you down here on this stem. This stem, which is a side shoot of the main stem, has a sucker growing down here, which wants to get big. And it has one here in this elbow, but look what's in it. How big this is. I want to get that out of there, or that's going to be a whole other branch. And what will happen if I have too many branches in here, I'm going to have such a jungle in here. It's going to harbor disease. And I don't want that. I want a lot of airflow in here to get a good tomato crop. So this is something that's really important in the growth. Here you can see stem, branch, sucker. Get it off. Okay. Here we have what has happened here. We have a branch, and in here is a sucker that's going to interfere with these tomatoes. We want to get this one off. So I'm going to pull that out. Okay. Now I want to tell you, this is a beautiful plant. And there's a lot of hairs. I don't think you can see it along the stem here. But if I stuck this in the ground, this would be a whole new plant. It would grow in a whole new plant. And we did that a couple of years ago. I think last year, actually, we planted a whole lot of our suckers and we got a nice crop out of them. But having over 60 tomato plants, I don't need any more, so I'm going to throw them down here. But this is a green zebra, and we're going to get a lot of plants. But I've got to go through this and try to get as many suckers as I can off of this plant, particularly down on the bottom, so I can get airflow in here. Okay. And I have to be sure I'm on the stem. We've started the string up the main stem, and I want to make sure this stem is continuing to go up. And I don't get any suckers coming off of that if I can help it, especially down here. Once it gets up a little bit, it doesn't matter so much. But right here, I really want these to be removed. Anytime we see anything growing in the armpit of any place, we can take it off. Okay. This bed, we see, look right down here, we see one ripe tomato. I hope you can see it. I have absolutely a big glare on my screen. I can't see, but beautiful ripe tomato in here. So both of these beds, that one and the one we were just here looking at, are indeterminate varieties. And on both of these two trellises here, indeterminates. But now we get over to this one. This bed is what we call determinants. And these are things like Romas. And they only put out one growth and one harvest, and they're done. And I see lots of greens, lots of green tomatoes on here. We're gonna have a lot of beautiful tomatoes. And look, sticking out of the top. I hope I can see it. Hope you can see that. Beautiful sunflower growing up out of the middle of the tomato jungle. So that's good news. So after a long, hard, cold winter, we see some hope for the harvest for this season. Oh, down here in the pod, look what I'm seeing. A little baby watermelon. It's gonna grow up this trellis. Like, and it's gonna join. It's gonna join its buddy here. Little baby watermelon growing. Lots of flowers. Very nice. Very nice. And there's somebody's nose. Louie, say hi, Louie. Hi. Hi. Happy llamas. We have the last of the nasturtiums trying their very best to hang on. It's just getting way too hot for them. I leave them here as long as I can because the bees love them so much. But they'll be back when it cools off a little bit. In the fall, they'll be back. But I want to go inside now, and now that I've checked our harvest progress in the garden, I want to check where I am harvesting my intentions inside. As you can see from my little tour of the garden, I've done a lot to prepare for this harvest, especially with my tomatoes. I began the seeds for these 60 plus plants on Imulk this year. That is 6 months ago that I started the preparations for this harvest. I selected the seeds that I wanted to grow the varieties of tomatoes that we enjoy for various reasons. I have different kinds for different things. I have some that are for sauces, some that are for eating fresh and enhancing summer dishes. Some are for using as sun-dried tomatoes or preserved tomatoes in oil. Some are for salsas and enchilada sauce and things like that. There's different varieties for different things. We build our dirt, our soil really well. We use compost from the chicken yard and from all of our kitchen and garden scraps. We do all the things we're supposed to do. We feed, we water, etc. There's a lot of things that go into preparing for the harvest. But I also showed you that after I don't know how many months of this waiting and waiting to get the tomatoes in the ground, first of all, because of our winter, we had a cold, very cold, unseasonably cold and wet and dark spring. It did not get warm enough in the evening to let me put my little delicate tomato plants in the garden until really late this year, 1 or 2 months later than we normally put it in. So here we are at Lammas, and I'm just going to start to see the beginning of a harvest, which is kind of frightening for us because at this time of the year normally it is really too hot. It gets really too hot for our tomatoes, so we're a little worried that they're doing really well now, but we want to be sure that the temperatures don't go up so high that we lose our crop before we lose the plants before we can get the tomato harvest. Okay, there's so many steps that go into it, and as you can see, I did drop the ball in one way. One of the keys to our indeterminate varieties, the ones that we use the most in our kitchen, from the garden, are mostly indeterminate. This includes a lot of the heirloom tomatoes, and includes the tomatoes that we use for our cherry tomato varieties, which we preserve in the oil for use all winter. We do a lot of things with those. Other than the paste varieties, we have a couple paste varieties. The rest of them are indeterminate, and they depend on the suckering. And I kind of fell behind in that. So I just wanted to point out that we do this when we're trying to create intentions. We're trying to manifest our intentions that we have created. It's not as easy as just having the intention. There are steps along the way that need to be attended to in the garden and in our own personal intentions. Now you can see that I have tarot cards here on my table in front of me, and some of you might not be interested, and you might be tempted to turn this video off because you're really not interested in tarot, and I do understand that. Usually my tarot videos are on Tuesdays, but I think as witches, most of us use some kind of divination, or maybe should be using some kind of divination to help us along the way, because we want, the whole reason that we create intentions in the first place is, we have to know what is in our will, what we want to make happen in our life. So we have intentions, we have all kinds of intentions, but unless we make the preparations that we need for those intentions, we can fall short. If I would not have gone out today and checked my tomato plants and seen, oh, it may be late, but I'm going to sucker these tomatoes, I would have had a real mess, and I would have probably invited all kinds of disease and other problems into my garden before I got the harvest that I was expecting. The same kind of things happens in our lives, and that's what I really want to talk to you today and really focus on today. The garden, that's a little analogy that works really well if you are a gardener, that you understand, but you don't need to be a gardener to understand that there are always steps that have to be taken before we can manifest what we intend to achieve in our life. And to this little tarot reading I'm going to show you is one way that's really simple to do, and you can do this, you can adapt this reading to something that you can use on your own. But these are the things, because it brings out points that I want you to consider. Whether you're going to put out a tarot spread or not, it doesn't matter. I want you to consider certain points, which you could also consider just by journaling and examining your own life. This is one way that I use tarot. A lot of tarot people will use tarot cards because it's one way that we could read energies a little bit easier than just by, journaling or some of the other methods that we can use as well. Okay, so I'm going to show you what I have here in the reading, and I want to tell you the points that we're going to be talking about in the reading. We're going to ask, first of all, what is already coming to fruition? This reading is going to show us that, something that is already coming in our lives that we have manifested, intentionally or not. It is coming up in our life right now. Then we're also going to see things that are yet to be manifested that are probably going to be coming, but they're not, we expect them to come, but they're not here yet. Okay, and then we are going to look at what needs to be left behind. What do we have to get rid of in order to move forward. We all have baggage. We carry baggage with us all the time. And tarot readings are a very good way to show us how to let go of some baggage, what we really need to drop to go forward. And then finally, we're going to say, what preparations have yet to be made? What preparations do we have to make yet? And I'm going to show you, even in my garden, I have more to prepare for other than just suckering my tomatoes. And I'm going to talk about that after the reading, what I'm going to do in the garden. So stay tuned for that. But I just want to show you a real quick this reading and how this might work. I'm not going to do a full reading for you, but I just want to, if you're interested, this is a really good way to see how my questions might be answered. So I'm going to change the camera so you can see the cards more clearly. I've turned over my cards so I can share this with you, the little reading that I got. I'm not going to go into big detail, but one of the things I want to say about this reading is you notice that I put tea lights here in the corner. And the reason I do that, I always do that with this reading, this kind of a reading particularly, because the kind of the reading that this is, it's meant for contemplation. It's meant for, just like I said, you could use journaling to achieve the same kind of conclusion about your own progress with your intentions. I want to see the real light, the real truth in this reading. So when I do that, I want and contemplate it well. So I will light tea lights or candles or something. Let this sit for a while and examine it while I'm seeing it in its true light, is what I mean with the candles. I'm not going to light these tea lights today because I have 2 fans going in its room. That would not be the best for candles, which I very much need because I have also some lights on here so I can see the reading, which makes it even warmer than it normally is. So, but if I were going to do this just on my own without recording it, I would definitely turn the fan off and light the candles so that I can really see the message as clear as I can. And that little simple little the act of lighting candles to see the light is really important in helping you to open up your intuition, open up your feelings, open up your mind to the reality of certain situations. So that's a good point, no matter what, if you're using tarot cards or journaling or whatever. That's a really good trick to use. I have just 4 cards, and I will remind you of the questions that I'm asking the cards, and then quickly what I might see. And of course, I'm looking now for how I can manifest things in my life. This is not to do with the garden. This is to do with things that I wish the intentions that I have laid in my life. They might have to do with the garden. They might not. But whatever is occupying my thoughts and my desires right now in my life, where I am with that. And I see this first card down here in the bottom right. What is coming to fruition now in my life? And I can see the Queen of Coins. This is really a very positive card. It represents security. It represents a very secure time in my life right now. But it is a time in my life that has come because of the work that I have put into it. Because of the work that the Queen has put into it, that is represented by me. This, you could say again, having to do with my garden, but also just in my life. I have come out of a very tough life. Last year at this time, we were in a very unstable time of our lives, and we have worked very hard since then to get stability back in life, to get control of our life, where we felt very much out of control last year at the same time. This year, we are in a much better place. We're coming from a much better place. So this is really good. The Queen is a very good, indication that we're coming. This is coming to fruition. This need for security and things are coming, but it is also a reminder that I'm really not able to enjoy pleasures without the security. And last year it was hard to enjoy the simple pleasures of life that we usually enjoy, and the summer months particularly is very important to me, and all of the fun things we do in the summer. Last year we missed out on a lot of those things. This year, because we're so hard in getting into the security of things back again in our life, that maybe we are neglecting the pleasures in life, that maybe this Queen is acting to stand between us And we see that very clearly here when we get to number 2 card. Good things are yet to come. They're expected, but they're not here yet. And this is representing all the joys, the deep, deep happiness, that I can have with the relationship with my loved ones, my husband, my dogs, my friends, my family, those things. And it's reminding me they're expected. I expect to have these good times, but the practicality of this Queen might be holding me back a little bit. That's something that I want to think about. It says, if I've not moved on, am I not moving forward because of this? Still working so hard to keep this control, keeping control in my garden, keeping control of our finances, keeping control of our home, like trying to get things back in order, taking care of projects that were neglected in the past. This is a reminder that the happiness that comes in our lives is when we have a truly, truly joyful time in our life. It's temporary. These are all temporary feelings. These are all temporary realities. Nothing lasts forever. Okay, so enjoy it. It's very important to enjoy it, to stop and enjoy what we're doing, what we have, this beautiful bounty of the garden, or the beautiful bounty in our lives. My husband's in good health finally after a really scary year, and we need to enjoy that time. Okay, we go around here to card 3, and I see the King of Coins. The King of Coins. It's interesting that I have this coins, another practical, which is Pentacles, of course, if in another deck. This would be Pentacles, representing the material things in our world. The King of Coins is, it says what needs to be left behind in order to move forward. Well, that's interesting that, we want to leave behind the king. We want to leave behind, because the thing is, this need for security sometimes is very, and in managing everything and having everything work out and everything be the way it's supposed to be, sometimes can be very limiting to your life. It can is it at the expense? Are you so worried about keeping things secure and keeping things going well that it is at the expense of other things? Are you neglecting your family? Are you neglecting your friends? Are you neglecting each other? Are you neglecting yourself? Okay, so that's just, see how these tie in together. If I were going to journal about this, I would have really something to say about this, wouldn't I? Okay. The problem with the king is the king knows how to get results, and this is a reminder. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm working very hard on the garden. I'm working very hard on managing things and planning our meals and working on projects that I'm doing, and working, but we're forgetting to have fun. We're maybe not giving ourselves time to have this fun that is so fleeting. This time of pure joy is so fleeting for people. Take advantage of it while you can. And then finally, the 6 of Coins at the very end. What do I need to begin? What do I need to begin? I have more preparations to do, but what are the preparations to do? I have to examine what those are. And in this reading here, coming to the conclusion of this, the 6 of Coins is reminding us to be generous, to share what we know. Do not hold everything just back into yourself and hold it and don't be the miser sitting on the coins, but be the one that is going to pass out and share. If I don't have money to share, I have time to share. If I don't have time, I can teach people what I know with my garden, with all of the things I know in the kitchen or whatever. It is time to teach and share the wealth with others. Maybe even giving to charity, maybe taking some of my skills off in a charitable way. Something that I've waited, and if you are a long-time viewer of my channel, you might remember years ago I said in one of my videos, the greatest sorrow of not having enough money. I think it was when we lost our business and we were really having very tough times. And I said the greatest sadness that we experienced at that time was not that we didn't have enough money or we were worried about paying our bills or obligations. It was the fact that I couldn't be generous. I didn't have anything to be generous. I felt I could not give to others how important it was to give to others. That was such an important part of my life. Now we're back into this, and I can now give the attention, I can give to others. This is part of the joy, and this is a reminder to me to begin this. If I have not done this in a while, it is time to reach out and to give. And it's also a time to accept from others. Being charitable it works both ways. Be willing to give gifts and be willing to receive gifts at the same way. So this is a very lovely reading. Okay, that was just a quick little reading for you. What I'm going to be thinking about right now, how I might be moving forward into llamas, preparing for my harvest. I'm going to think about, yes, doing the work that needs to be done. And one of the things I have to do is I've got, those tomatoes are going to start coming off and I have to be prepared. I've got to organize my recipe book, my collection of recipes, which is a jumbled mess, into what I'm going to do with each kind of variety. I think, what am I going to do with cherries when cherries come out? What am I going to do with the paste when the paste come out? What am I going to do with the heirlooms when they come off? What am I going to do with the ones I have? What is my recipe for my drying? And then I'm going to be doing. And I think along the lines of this reading, I think if some of those, I do have some knowledge about some of that stuff. I might be sharing that with some of you if you're interested in how to do some of the things that I do with my tomatoes. I don't know. I've shared a little bit about that in the past, but I usually stop short because I don't think a lot of people are interested. But if you're interested, I'm happy to. But the point of this video is to say we are harvesting. This is the first of 3, Lammas is the first of 3 harvest seasons. It's the very beginning. We're going to have a harvest season going up with us. And through Samhain, through Mabon and Samhain, up into Yule, where it's harvesting. And we do different kinds of harvesting in different ways. And I want to say that we can't do any harvesting if we don't know what we want to harvest. The intention, laying the intention is important. But also we have to take steps to ensure that that harvest will happen as it comes. And this is not just in the garden, it's in our lives. So if you don't do tarot reading or you don't do other kind of divination practices, think about getting out a journal and writing these 4 prompts same prompts as I gave you for these cards. Number 1, what is coming to fruition? Number 2, what good things are yet to come? They haven't come yet, but they're expected. Number 3, what needs to be left behind in order to move forward? And number 4, what is in need of commencement? What do I have to start? Preparations have to be made to make sure that harvest comes. Write that as a journal entry and see if that helps you. I will post those comments, the questions down below, if in the comment section. So let me know. Let me know what you how you're coming along with your own harvest. And how you're coming with manifesting your intentions this season. Okay. As always, thank you so much for watching. I am Rebecca, and I wish you blessings of Lammas.